Hi, I am Brother Steve from Steve Facebook Friends and Family and Pray for America. Today, we like to talk about our churches and their security. Well, a lot of times we would think security means once a month Social Security check for the elderly. No, this is something far more serious than Social Security. We're talking about security for our churches. And most churches now, usually, well, the way things are going, has signed officers that the pastor had pointed to keep watch. They keep watch over their flock while he's in the pulpit preaching. While he's in the pulpit preaching, it needs several people to. They need to appoint to make sure they have proper training and proper training with safety courses in mind, knowing what to do in the case of someone was to threaten your church and your flock. Well, we have took a few courses ourselves how to keep us safe while we're worshiping. I mentioned here a while back where there were several places where people were worshiping and they suddenly got chastised for their faith and for their belief. Well, the latest one was just a few weeks ago where a guy drove through a church building, actually drove right through the front door, and then started opening fire and killing a few people. And then when he got through, he just basically set the church on fire, destroyed the church, and destroyed a few of the members there. Well, it wasn't long ago, been a few weeks ago back, in Memphis, Tennessee, where these children were going to a Christian day school where they were suddenly attacked as they were getting ready to come out of the building. These some things that we need to discuss. We need to discuss. You need to get your security plan involved and get somebody that has proper training to keep a watch. Now, I'm going to give you a few things that I have done since I have become a security officer at our house of worship. We have brought in security cameras. We got cameras inside and out. We're watching the parking lot. So now we pretty much know who, before you turn in off the main drag into the parking lot, we pretty much know what you're going to be doing before you get there, because we know the individual, the person, we know what kind of car it is, we know what type of clothes that the person has got on. Well, the things that you need to be looking out for is strange appearance. How is a person acting? Now, I was always taught if somebody came to the door and you said good morning, they will say, well, what's so good about it and all that. Well, that's the ones that you really need to keep a watch on, because you don't know what his intentions are and why he is there. Well, my best thing is for you to keep a watch on him and start changing Howard's nice day, where do you work, or try to subtract him. And the best you can. Well, you have to have several watching the same person to make sure what his activities are and what his plan is. And a lot of times when they come in there, their plan is not to come to worship. They come to destroy God's people and God's house. Because, see, there's a lot of people out there right now that are hating the work of God. They just soon see our steeples come off our buildings and the buildings be burnt to the ground. That is a crying shame, knowing that we cannot go and worship God in a free America. These are some things that we have to watch for, because in other parts of the country, they've even had to have people watching while they're in the back worshiping. Now you take instance for like China, certain parts of China, they have to worship underground to keep the enemy from attacking. To keep it attacking while they are worshiping. This should not be occurring in the United States. And it's not just in our churches. It's in our everyday life. It is in our cities. You're getting people now that you can't even hardly say anything to. Well, there's another little thing out there that we need to be aware of is mental health. Well, what is mental health, Brother Steve? Mental health means that somebody that legally goes off in their mind, starts talking out of their head, and they're saying things that doesn't make any sense, and they start just going off. Starts going off. They do not like what you're saying. You cannot talk to them, and their intentions, what's in their mind, if they're going to come and destroy, they will destroy. And if you are a security officer in your church, always have a plan in case something like this was to happen during your worship service. Somebody can come in and basically come in and basically pull out, well, we might as well say, pull out a gun, and he starts shooting. He starts taking out individuals one by one. Well, you're a security sign officer. You're supposed to be watching and make sure that does not occur. But sometimes things slip over. Sometimes things slip over and you don't see what's going on. That's why you always have to have people, sign officers. I would suggest, it's up to you and your pastor, how many people that should be on. Now, if I was pastor of a church, I would have at least 4 or 5 that I could trust, and set them on each side of the building, and some, throughout the building, and spread them throughout the building, and to make sure that nothing suspicious activity come in your house of worship. And this will not occur. A lot of them, when this happens, they come and the officers don't have no idea in mind that's going to happen. Well, you're a security officer. You're supposed to look at this and keep all suspicious activity in control. In control. This keeps you and the pastor and the flock safe from any other activity. Well, I hope we've been some answers to you. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at Steve Facebook Friends and Family, and Pray for America. May God richly bless you.